The transfer of Dean Henderson from Manchester United to Nottingham Forest is edging ever closer. However, the price is back up to 30 million. Is it now time to walk away? Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. In today's video, we will bring you the latest on the Dean Henderson ongoing saga. But as the price increases, is it now worth looking in other directions? We've got an amazing new centre-back link, one that I'm very excited about. We'll tell you all the details on him. And a striker that has rejected Nottingham Forest. Before we get into it all, as always, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new here. It is completely free to do. Just click the subscribe button down below. And don't forget, the FFTV barbecue is officially up and running. The date for it will be the 6th of August at the Trent Nav. Doors open from 3 p.m. Make sure you go grab your tickets. The link's in the description down below. We'll be doing a live podcast. We'll have a barbecue. We'll be chatting to all of you guys in the build-up to the Premier League, which will only be 6 days away after the barbecue. It's going to be the perfect time to do it and the perfect time to catch up with all of you guys. So go grab your early bird tickets. They're only £5, but they're going fast. So get them now. Let's jump into the news and let's start with Dean Henderson. Okay, so I've always told you guys I'm quite sick and bored of talking about this Dean Henderson saga. And it's going back and forth at the moment. We told you last week that the negotiations were down to 15 million, that it was looking more and more likely. And it's still all heads around Onana coming to Manchester United. That deal looks like it's getting closer, and they're looking to pay in and around 45 million for the Inter goalkeeper. However, the reports today, and they're coming from really strong sources, are saying that the deal for Dean Henderson is pretty close and is going to be more towards the 30 million mark than the 15 million mark. And it just gets me thinking now, is it worth it? Now, let me start by saying Hendo is my number one choice. I love what he did last season. I love how he's integrated into the team, into the whole Forest, how the fans took to him and everything. I think he's perfect for Nottingham Forest. But the point here is that football is a business. And 30 million for a goalkeeper is a bit too much for me. You're looking at the types of money that the top 6 are spending on goalkeepers. Look what Arsenal did with Ramsdale. He was 28 million. As I just mentioned, Manchester United are looking at Onana for 40 million. And we're now thinking of paying 30 million for Dean Henderson. And the thing to add on top of that is how much of the transfer budget would we blow on a goalkeeper when we still need a CDM, when we still need a left winger, when potentially we need a left back, a backup striker, and another centre back. And I've always said that Forest do need about 100 million spent this summer net. However, when you get to see the FFP video that we're putting together, you'll start to understand that maybe that amount of money isn't actually there and that Forest may have to generate it from sales. We've always said, and we've been told reliably, that Forest will need to have more outgoings than incomings to, one, generate cash, to take players off the wage structure as well, and just to free up some of that bloated squad, as we call it. So 30 million on Dean Henderson is getting towards the very steep end of it for me. Now, the argument on the other side of the fence is, okay, as a goalkeeper, as a guaranteed number one between the sticks, 30 million over probably, say, 6 or 7 years, because he's about 26 now, he's got plenty of time left as a goalkeeper, is a good long-term investment. And I do agree with that. I do. But I just think that the position Manchester United are currently in, there is no need for them to hold the high ground on this. This deal should have been done on Forest terms. Now that Manchester United are definitely trying to get Onana, they need to source some fundage for it. And again, it puts them in a tighter position. And there's not been that much interest generated in Dean Henderson. There's been no real major links to him outside of Nottingham Forest. So when you're in a one-horse race, you should be able to dictate lower terms. Add on top of that, Hendo has made it abundantly clear that he doesn't want Manchester United and his preferred destination is Nottingham Forest. There's even talks he's already bought a house in Nottingham, he's settling down in Nottingham and everything else. And it just screams to me that this should be a deal that Forest are in control of, especially when you're dealing with Manchester United, who have historically struggled to get rid of players. And when they do, they get ripped off for what they have to or what they make from those players. So I don't want this deal. And you guys know how much I hate Manchester United. One, I hate the idea of funding them anyway. But secondly, I don't want us to come away from this deal having overpaid in a one-horse race. And that, for me, is the bugbearer I have with this. Now, again, let me reiterate, he is my number one choice. And I guess the stance will be from the club that if he's Cooper's number one choice, then pay whatever and get him over the line. But looking at the bigger picture, how do you think that's going to impact our summer transfer window? Are we going to end up blowing a third or maybe even half our transfer budget on a goalkeeper with those positions that I've already mentioned having to be filled? The other thing to say with that is that this may indicate, if Forest go ahead with this, and when we talk about the defender we're linked with, if Forest pay that money as well, potentially we're looking at already 60, 65 million being spent. If that becomes the case, then I do start to worry about the whole Johnson scenario again. And it has to be outgoings for Forest before there can be incomings and the money spent. If you look over the last 18 months, the only significant transfer fee we have taken would be for Samba, which was about 4.5 million, something along those lines. And for a Premier League club to be generating that little income from outgoings is worrying and does have an impact on financial fair play. Now, we'll cover all of that off in the FFP video, but I do really want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Is 30 million too much now for Dean Henderson? And are Forest having their pants pulled down by Manchester United? Get your thoughts in the comments down below. Okay, let's move on and talk about Hincapie, a centre-back that I'm really interested in. Plays for Leverkusen, is only 21 years old, and he's an absolute brute of a defender. You guys know how much I love these centre-backs from the Bundesliga. I think there's an absolute pool of talent out there, and he is one of them. In fact, yes, he wasn't on my shopping list, but when I've seen that Forest are linked to him, he shot right up there. He's so progressive. He presses really high. He's pacey as well. And he's really strong and has a really good physique. Plays centre-back. Now, he is left-footed and prefers the left side, but can play on the right side of the middle. And as a secondary position, has also played left-back for Leverkusen. I really like this player, but he comes with a huge price tag. 34 million. That is huge money for a centre-back, especially with the club and the finances, as we've just discussed with Nottingham Forest. Now, before you all start getting too excited, the other clubs that are in for him are the likes of Tottenham and Newcastle. And they, as we know, have the checkbooks and can afford these kind of deals. In fact, these deals are quite easy for them to do. But honestly, he's already an international at Ecuador. He's got many caps under his belt. What I just can't stress enough to you guys how pressing he is. With his pace, he has that ability to play really high up the pitch. And you see him so many times progressing into the opponent's half, almost playing a CDM role at times where he's breaking up the play really high up in the opponent's side of the pitch. And that's what we need. And that's what I would love us to have. And for me, this guy goes straight into my top 3 on priorities on centre-backs from my shortlist. Can the deal be done? Yes, there's always a chance it can be done, but 34 million is a lot. Look, those payments can be spread over 4 or 5 years, whatever it is these days, in transfer deals. But with Newcastle and Spurs both in, Forest are probably going to struggle to get this one over the line. The links are somewhat strong from decent sources, but I don't see Forest as the front runners for this one. As much as I would love them to be, and as much as my heart is screaming, yeah, we can get who we want, the Greek father will make an offer that they can't refuse. For me, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I'd love to see it happen, but I'm not going to hold my breath. The fact, though, that he's 21, has the profile that I love as a centre-back, ticks pretty much every box you could want in a centre-back, does get me excited. If you guys have seen him play, what do you think about what I've said? Do you agree with the way I've kind of rated him, or do you think I've gone too far? Let me know what you think about him in the comments down below. And would 34 million be too much of a stretch for Nottingham Forest, especially when we're about to splash out potentially 30 million on Dean Henderson? Okay, let's move on to a striker, Sandro Kolovinic. I think I've said it right, probably not, who apparently has had a bid put in for him from Nottingham Forest. The 23-year-old, scoring 12 goals in about 37 appearances last season, has rejected Nottingham Forest, if you believe the reports coming out from Turkey. Why? Because apparently he wants to move to Transport in Turkey, as the media there are claiming that they are a bigger club than Nottingham Forest. The hell football do they watch in Turkey? This one baffles me. I can deal with the likes of West Ham or an Aston Villa or Glasgow Rangers trying to, measure their size against us and failing. But if a Turkish club is going to say they're bigger than Nottingham Forest, come on, man. What have you been sniffing? Seriously. Look, I don't know how true these reports are. I don't know much about the kid either, apart from he can score goals. But he's scoring them at Zagreb. So that probably tells you the standard he's at currently. So it's a weird one, but the reason I bring it to you is, who the hell does the Turkish media think they are to compare some crappy Turkish team with Nottingham Forest? Who's bigger? Get your thoughts in the comments down below. Moving on to talk about our current players, and our very own Morgan Gibbs-White has carried England into the final of the under-21s, and he is absolutely on fire. He's a complete assist machine and has backed it up with a goal yesterday as England beat Israel 3-0. On top of that, though, he did miss a penalty. And he did do that pigeon step penalty run up that absolutely puckers up my butthole every time I see it. And I do worry about him being our penalty taker come next season. For me, we've got two better penalty takers in the squad. In Hincapie, yes, I know, weird, huh? But he was the penalty taker for Mainz back when he was in the Bundesliga. And of course, Gustavo Scarpa. But this segment isn't about penalty takers. It's a massive congratulations to Morgan Gibbs-White as he continues to develop and play with this air of arrogance and swagger that I love to see in him. He's a player, if you remember last summer, I was very much cheerleading for him to come to Nottingham Forest. When we eventually got it over the line, I did a few backflips, and he has not disappointed and has grown from match to match, week to week, month to month. And now on the international duty, he is getting some recognition. However, my worry is that now that he is performing the way he is performing, will people come sniffing for Morgan Gibbs-White? I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, again, a bit like Jono, I would be insulted if they didn't come sniffing and knocking on Marinakis' door just to even inquire about how much he would cost. And for me, MG Dub is not for sale. With Brennan, I could understand a sale. I think personally, Forest could carry on without Brennan Johnson. Yes, we would be hamstrung without him. But if I had to choose between Morgan Gibbs-White and Brennan Johnson who to keep, I've got to say, and I've got to admit, and I don't know if you guys would agree or not, that Morgan Gibbs-White I would prefer to keep if I had a gun to my head and had to select between the two. Obviously, the ideal scenario is that we keep both and they keep scoring and assisting each other until, Judgment Day. But this is football and things do change. So my question for you guys is twofold. One, how much do you now think Morgan Gibbs-White is worth? Having had the whole 40 million BS from Wolves, and now with the performances he's done this season, 5 goals, 8 assists in the Premier League in a low blocking team, how much is he worth? And the second question is, if you had to pick between Morgan Gibbs-White and Jono, and you could only keep one, who would you keep? And there's a gun to your head, so no sitting on the fence. Let me know. No judgment here at all. That brings you up to date with your Nottingham Forest news for today. Please don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV and make sure you go grab your early bird tickets for the FFTV barbecue. The link's in the description, it's in the comments. Go click it and grab it before those tickets run out. Remember, 6th of August, 3 p.m, Sunday afternoon at the Trent Nav in Nottingham. We can't wait to see all you guys there. Thank you so much for watching, and come on you Reds.